Happy day 18, everyone. And first of all, thank you. My voice is still not 100%, but I didn't want to keep delaying and lose the momentum I had. And for all those people that called or messaged me to check on me, I really do appreciate it. Now, the interesting thing that came out of not having my voice completely is it made me think about what level of listening we typically listen at as human beings. Example, with my voice not working, I was more present to really listen to what somebody's saying. And I want to kind of describe and ask you how you listen based on 3 different ways. And the first one is, do you listen to speak? Do you listen to hear? Or do you listen to understand? And those are 3 very different ways to listen. Now, depending on the time of day, what's on our mind, or who the audience is, I think we all listen in these different ways depending on the circumstance. So let me go a little deeper. When you listen to speak, somebody's talking, it motivates something as a thought in your mind. And your mind goes to what it is you're wanting to say, even though that person is still talking. That's listening to speak. And many times when you're doing that, you will likely even interrupt the person who's talking. Now, we could go into etiquette and, whether that's polite, whether that's appropriate. I just want to talk about how you listen today and how I listen. So if somebody's talking to you and your mind is on something else, at best, you're listening to speak because you're not fully present to hear the words. Now let's talk about listening to hear. Listening to hear is hearing the words, paying attention to what they're saying, and ultimately at that point being prepared to respond, but not being lost in your thoughts of what your response is going to be. That's listening to hear. And I think when people believe they're great listeners, this is the level they tend to get to. They listen to hear what they're saying, take a moment, and then respond. I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything wrong with that level of listening, and many times it's considered a great listener. But I want to challenge you to get to where you can listen to understand. Now, listening to understand means that you are fully present, absent of thought, specifically hearing what this person is saying, but you're listening to the body language, you're listening to the tone, you're picking up on what it is they're not saying. I joke, and I always like to use this example with people. If someone starts a sentence with, "I don't mean to be disrespectful," you know it's coming, right? So listening to understand means you're not hearing the words as much as you're hearing the way the words are being said, the body language that's conveying them. And through that, you really can understand what the person's trying to convey to you. Now, you might say, well, I'll never be able to listen at that level because I don't know how to do that. Great news. You can learn to listen at a higher level through practicing, being intentional and being present, and you can actually layer up your levels of listening. When I was getting my accreditation as a life coach, they called that level 3 listening. As a coach, if I'm in a coaching session, and if I've coached you, you'll find that my presence is very different. We call that coach position. And it's being fully present and hearing what they're saying and understanding the way that they're delivering it. So that way, as a coach, you can ask strong, powerful questions to help them sort of find the answers that they're looking for. This works in your business life. Guys, gals, it works in your personal life. I can't tell you how much better relationships can be, communication can be, when you learn to level up your listening. So, be aware of when you're listening to speak. Try not to do that a whole lot because that's not the healthiest conversations. Be aware when you're listening to hear. That's certainly better than listening to speak. But ultimately, challenge yourself to learn to listen to understand. And you'll be amazed at what happens with your relationships on a personal level as well as a professional level. Guys, gals, have a great day. I really appreciate the support and for the time while I was absent. And hopefully my voice stays well enough that I can see you tomorrow on day 19.